guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon, and welcome to the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and you can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Today, behind the glass, flying the board, he'll get you into the studio for two-way talking conversation. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. It's here. It seemed to, it has gone by very quickly, the year, and it's been fun. And Ted, will you catch that sucker? We need dinner on Thursday. So, what are your plans? What's going on? Obviously, we won't be doing too many live shows on Thanksgiving. We'll have some replays of some of the best and so forth. So, tune in for that. You can also text us at 617-297-8388 as we stream on the TuneIn app 24/7, as does thousands of other radio stations. And I also am streaming my show from our Cameos. Yeah, no, actually, I'm not. That was a force of habit there from our WCRN, palatial but not overly ostentatious studios in Westboro, Massachusetts. And you can watch and listen on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile. Go check it out. So here it is, Monday, November 25th, days before Thanksgiving, and you are tuned into the Joe Mangiacotti Show. This is the home of common sense conversation for the common sense citizen. So whether you're sipping on your coffee, stuck in traffic, or sneaking a listen at work, we've got a jam-packed show for you today. So let's dive into that. Swirling vortex of news, because let's face it, folks, staying sane, we'll discuss in modern politics, is kind of an Olympic sport, and kicking things off, the golden age of cabinet picks. And they're saying that, right? This is going to be a new golden age coming up, expected with the economy, getting the border under control, maybe putting some water in the fires that are popping up all over the globe. Well, President-elect Donald Trump, yes, folks, we're doing this dance again. He's been busy assembling his Avengers. Gutfeld refers to the whole Trump campaign as a pirate ship, and I think it's an apt analogy because if you look at what he's made up, a lot of former Democrats there. Or maybe it's the Justice League, right? Either way, it's a cast of characters with enough drama to keep the tabloids busy until next Thanksgiving. So let's start with Scott Bessent, Trump's pick for Treasury Secretary. Bessent, well, he's a South Carolina billionaire with a fascinating resume. Once a Democratic donor and George Soros' protege, by the way, he's now a dyed-in-the-wool Trump enthusiast. You can't make this stuff up. It's like Darth Vader becoming a Jedi again, only with, spreadsheets and fewer lightsabers. I don't know about the fewer lightsabers. The guy has enough money. And here's the kicker. He's also the first openly gay nominee for the position. Folks, this pick is hitting all the headlines. Wall Street, Main Street, the Rainbow Boulevard. It's confirmed. Bessent's going to tackle deficit reduction while backing Trump's extended tax cut. He says tariffs are a useful tool. Well, the translation on that is get ready for your avocado toast to cost $20 again, folks. And roll call of characters, absolutely. And the hits just keep coming, folks, because Trump's cabinet is shaping up like a reality TV reunion special. Brooke Rollins, a Trump loyalist, is picked for Secretary of Agriculture. Then there's Pete Hegseth at Defense, Marco Rubio at State, and my personal favorite, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. heading Health and Human Services. Yes, RFK Jr. is now part of the Trump administration. It's like watching Batman team up with the Joker. We're doing a lot of superhero references today, folks. Let's not forget Linda McMahon. Yes, that Linda McMahon of WWE fame, overseeing the Department of Education. What's the first act going to be? Turning school assemblies into pay-per-view. that will cut the budget. Denver's Tiananmen Square movement. Oh my, yes. In the "you've got to be kidding me" file, Denver's mayor is channeling His interaction hero, Mike Johnston, has declared that he'll block ICE agents from operating in his city, even if it means standing at the county line like is an old Western standoff. We got to talk about this more, but he's calling it his Tiananmen Square moment. Look, I get the symbolism, but let's pump the brakes here. Tiananmen Square was about democracy, not thwarting federal immigration law. And now Senator Rand Paul is saying if Johnston doesn't back down, he'll be removed from office. Folks, I feel like we're watching a bizarre Netflix series playing out in real time here. The immigration crime gap. See, speaking of immigration, did you catch the story of Victor Martinez Hernandez? Yeah, this guy, a repeat offender. He came into the U.S. illegally and was charged with the murder of Rachel Morin, a mother of 5. Turns out he had a rap sheet a mile long back in El Salvador. Now, this case, like so many others, exposes the cracks in our immigration system. ICE reports that over 662,000 non-citizens with criminal histories have been released into the U.S. in the last 40 years. But they say some say illegal immigrants commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans. Sure, tell that to the victims' families. In post-election group therapy at the State Department. Are you kidding me here, right? Finally, folks, if you thought 2024 couldn't get any weirder, the State Department hosted therapy sessions after Trump's victory. Therapy sessions. I mean, I get it. Politics can be stressful, but what happened to a good old-fashioned stiff drink and a rant with your friends? It always works for me. Rep. Darrell Issa is demanding answers, probably because he, too, can't believe taxpayer dollars were spent on what I assume were sessions like Coping with Red Wave Trauma 101. All right, folks, we've got so much more coming up on the show later, and we'll dive into Trump's ambitious plans for a second term. The bruising cabinet confirmation battles ahead. We already lost, right? One. Gates dropped out. He didn't want to make it about that and detract the attention from Trump and his picks. And the latest in the Supreme Court showdown over sanctuary cities. Plus your calls, because we're all about giving you the microphone here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Stick around, grab another cup of coffee or something stronger if the news has you reeling. This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show, where we turn chaos into clarity and maybe even a little fun along the way. And you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Get you into the studio for two-way talk and conversation. But I really got to drill down, folks, and please, what say you on this? And Homer, you heard of the news. Yeah, Governor Abbott's going to take him toward the border. And he has repeatedly said, and I've been talking about this for so long. When these sanctuary cities make this self-declaration, you understand there's no mechanism in the Constitution for that. There's no mechanism. They're just self-declaring this, but that doesn't usurp the federal, right? We have federal supremacy, and it's a felony. It's totally against the law to give safe harbor to stop ICE or federal agents from doing their job. And Tom Homan has put it straight out to them. Don't cross that line. Let's fill in the next sentence, because you will be arrested. It's not a threat. It's just fact. Remember the judge here in Massachusetts who had the bailiff take the POS in her courtroom out the back door through secure gates and so forth out the back of the courthouse? She wouldn't let ICE into the courtroom. She made them wait outside. So, of course, they were waiting because they had a detention order. She helped him escape. She was removed from the bench temporarily and then later quietly returned with all her back pay. No, I think that judge should have done 30 days. Absolutely. And not only lose their judgeship, disbarred. Remember, all lawyers and are members of the bar. They're for their offices of the court. Would that be tolerated if a member of the court, an officer of the court, a bailiff, a judge, helped a bank robber escape the detectives waiting for them outside the courtroom? Why is this different? If you don't like the immigration laws, we have a process. We have a mechanism to change it or run for office and get elected. But we have the laws that we have, and the laws that we have need to be honored and respected and followed. And Tom Homan, at all, because, look, if you are thinking like Tim Walzer or Kamala Harris, I don't think you're going to do very well in ICE or Border Patrol today. I talked about before, the request to pull back retirement paperwork is through the roof. The requests from retired police officers, former agents wanting to come back to work, also through the roof. Morale has totally taken a turnaround because they're finally getting to do what they were trained to do, what their job description is. I'm so sick about hearing about this immigration bill that they say Donald Trump killed. First of all, if you're a Democrat and you're bitching about the fact that Trump killed this immigration bill, aren't you saying that a civilian has more power, more juice than the sitting members of Congress? That's a compliment. But here's the thing. There was not an immigration bill. It was an amnesty bill. And all of the agents and the money, go look at the bill. I'm so sick of these legislation being named that is not descriptive, not an accurate description anyway. Right? We talked about this. The Deficit Reduction Act was the Green New Deal with new packaging. Back in the day, we used to just refer to as HR. Then there's usually four numbers for the House bill. It is House resolution. And that's what it is. And then they decided to put these names on it, I don't know, a couple decades ago. And I think because we are living in the world of headlines and short attention spans. And they love to have that clip because Representative so-and-so or Senator so-and-so voted against the Puppies and Rainbows for All Veterans Act. But what you didn't know is that legislation would have cut VA funding. Or made it more difficult. So you have to pay attention. Read between the lines, folks. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. This is AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. Stick with us, and we'll be back on the other side as we continue the Monday after edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Back in 2 and 10, folks.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own, but MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Those things we most cherish are all put at risk through the improper disposal of mercury in everyday items. Fluorescent lamps, thermometers, thermostats all contain mercury. Mercury Recovery Program is designed to assist your community in the safe disposal of this heavy metal. For more information about where to dispose of these products, contact your local Board of Health, Department of Public Works, or visit our website at keepmercuryfromrising.org. Working together, we can keep our environment safe.
Attention all contractors. The Massachusetts Mercury Management Act makes it illegal to improperly dispose of old thermostats in the trash. They contain mercury that can be harmful to human health and the environment. Building and HVAC contractors, plumbers, and electricians, please properly dispose of all mercury thermostats. Contact your local health or public works department for information on where to safely dispose of thermostats in your community. Visit online, keepmercuryfromrising.org for details. Brought to you by Win Waste Innovations. Performance for the planet.
All right, folks. So welcome back to the second segment of the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Where are you headed or traveling? I think tomorrow, right, is the busiest travel day, the Tuesday. So that's going to be nuts. Do you have to travel or are you staying home? What time is dinner? And should I bring anything? 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. So I do want to drill down on this Scott Bessent. So he's actually an openly gay man. He's married and they have a couple kids. And I'm so sick of the because of all the things, right, that they throw at Trump. One of the ones I hear all the time is that how anti-gay he is. And then you have the cows at the View saying, you know, that Trump got elected. He's gonna round up journalists. He's gonna round up gay people and black people and all. I mean, just the most outlandish stuff that it's hard to even justify wasting breath with these people if they're that ignorant. And then look at the 180. Mika and Joe were down at Mar-a-Lago last Friday, a week ago Friday, right? But this guy, now, Trump isn't the first, or I should say Bessent isn't the first openly gay man that Trump, Rich Grinnell, right? Ambassador to Germany. He was being discussed for Secretary of State before Rubio got named. Trump has a history of not paying attention to the color of your skin, your gender, or who you like to sleep with. Trump has always been, and apparently will always be, concerned with your ability and whether you can do the job. If you look at this cabinet, Mark Cuban, that jamoke, when he was doing the View, right, from his private jet, talking about, you notice there are never any strong, independent women around Trump. And then he goes ahead and names the first female chief of staff in the history of the United States of America and proceeds to appoint several other women, strong, independent, smart women. That guy is a joke. Now, Rich Grinnell, he was prominent and open, but the media wants you to pretend that Pete Buttigieg was the first gay man of any significant cabinet position. So that's just ridiculous. And this guy, he's a billionaire investment manager who happens to be gay. And I know Ted, you wrote, is he the correct type of gay? Automatically, he isn't the correct type of gay because he supports Trump.
Just like the women are not the correct kind of women.
Or black men and women who support Trump or even conservative. What do they get called? Uncle Toms, sellouts. Right away. Right? Byron, all those fantastic congressmen from was it Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. I mean, they're just they can't even be a member of the Black Caucus because they're not the right kind. And if you want to analyze it, the ones who are supposedly enlightened and with the Democratic Party, the party, by the way, that seated the Ku Klux Klan, and every Democrat voted against the civil rights legislation of the 60s. They think, and there are some articulate, intelligent, hosts and personalities out there that have been speaking up and saying, cut it out. Even Charles Barkley last week. I mean, he's Democrat, he's left and so forth. But he was on a podcast and he put it out there. And he said to his fellow Democrats, shut the blank up. You lost. If you lose, you don't get to talk. The winner gets to talk and talk about the agenda and where they're going to go. Ted?
Elections have consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that that's getting repeated over and over again. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. So if Bessent is confirmed by the Senate, he would be the first out member of the LGBTQ community to be Treasury Secretary and one of the only few to ever hold a cabinet or cabinet level position. And it wasn't Pete Buttigieg, it was Rich Grinnell, by the way. Open is the key word here, by the way. And going into it, I'm quoting, Scott has long been a strong advocate, and this is coming from The Advocate, and I probably should give you the background. The Advocate is a publication that caters to the gay and lesbian community. And I know I was like LGBTQ plus, right? That's what we say now. Because if you went on to it, it'd be LGBTQIA, and then they get into another T because you got two spirits, and you just keep going, and it gets to be a little ridiculous. So they've decided, well, we're going to add the plus. But, and this is a whole nother show for me, but see, I don't think the T should be an LGB. I don't think transgender is the same thing as gay or lesbian or bisexual for that matter. But in the late 70s, they slid that in and figured we're going to ride the coattails of the gay and lesbian movement, which kind of officially kicked off in June of 1969 with the riots at the Stonewall Inn. And the first time that Walter Cronkite was talking about gays and lesbians on national TV, and that really kicked it off. And what later became Gay Pride Month is June. That's why Pride Month is in June. It was because of June 29th of 1969. But there was no transgender, even though it's not totally confirmed, but the riot that kicked this off was a transgender bartender who threw the first stone. And what happened at Stonewall in June of 1969, the police commonly shook down the bars and the clubs and the patrons, and often extorted, because a lot of the men who frequent those were married and had children and wives at home. And for the cops to keep it quiet, this isn't great look for the New York Police Department of 1969, folks, but it's just the fact that it was happening. And the irony of the whole thing, most of those bars back in those days were owned by organized crime. So the mob owned the bars, the gay bars. The police shook them down, but they were protected in a weird sense of way. Anyway, what happened in June 29th of 69 is a bartender said, this is enough. You keep shaking us down for money or sex favors, and we're not going to take it anymore. And it turned into a 3-day riot. So when they say the first gay pride was a riot, they literally mean a riot. So The Advocate is a publication that caters to the community. And so they're doing this story. Of course, they're going to do a story because you're going to have a historic event. The first openly gay person who is Treasury Secretary. That's huge. And Trump said in a statement, Scott has been long, strong advocate of the America First agenda. And this is the other thing. Like a lot of other, like Aikman and Diamond and a lot of these other billionaires, money managers, hedge fund managers, right? Kevin O'Leary, a Boston guy from the Sharks. They've all said it, because they're looking at the business side of it. They're looking at the deficit. They look at the federal government and they say, I could never run my business like this. Because when you're a private business, you don't have unlimited spending. You're not allowed to just mandate an increase in taxes, which if you're in business, it's just you can't just raise the prices of all your items and then require people to buy your items. But the federal government can do that. They just get you more taxes. And once they become a bureaucrat, have you noticed they don't understand why we don't tax you more? A bureaucrat, once they're entrenched into this, they don't understand why we just don't tax you more. To get into this mindset, the money's right there. We just got to take it in some other ways. Inheritance tax. It's one of the most unfair taxes we could possibly have. Think about that. They're going to tax you on money that's been taxed many times over. It was taxed when you made it. It was taxed when you spent it. You paid real estate taxes on that. You've spent all kinds of sales tax and service tax maintaining property, say, over the years. So if you have one piece of property that's part of an estate that your parents leave to you, how many times and for how many years has a tax been collected on that? And now they want to take half of it when they die? That seriously affects the ability to create generational wealth, which is why everybody with a certain amount of money They actually don't own anything. Everything's in a family trust, a real estate trust. There are all kinds of so that the property never changes hands. And I know that one of the things in my real estate background that I deal with in New England is the fact that we're an older part of the country. So there are actually plots of land and buildings that have been in the same family for generations. And when you go to finally sell this out of that family, and you have to do the title search and prove the title and the province of that property, sometimes 100, 120 years, it never changed hands technically because it was in a trust. And they just keep changing the beneficiary. And when that beneficiary dies, they put someone else in there. So the trust has owned it for 120 years. And then when they go to sell it out of the trust, there's no paper trail. It's no paper. You got to go back to documents of when they laid the first wall in Marker in 1782. But that's how they handle it. But anyway, Trump is nominating him, and he would be the Treasury nominee on the eve of the great country's 250th anniversary. And Trump said he will help us usher in a new golden age for the United States as we fortify our position as the world's leading economy, center of innovation and entrepreneurialism, destination for capital. That is also the key, by the way. Trump understands, and he needs people like him, Bassett, to understand that you have to make the United States attractive for capital and for businesses and money managers all around the world to bring the capital to the United States. Keeping the corporate tax reasonable, and he's proposing lowering it to 15% for American-based corporations. You know what that will do? It will bring many billion-dollar corporations onto the land of the United States inside our borders. Folks, we're coming up to our mid-show break here on the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available. What say you? Want to talk about the picks? Trump? Do we make it to Inauguration Day without something blowing up? Literally? You let me know. All right, folks, we'll be back in 2 and 10.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Vicki Graff, and here's your latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. After a bright afternoon, we're going to cool off into the upper 20s, low 30s overnight tonight. For Tuesday, we do have some light rain moving through. It's not going to be an all-day event, but still you might want to use caution if you're going to be out on the roads. We're going to stay dry for any travel plans Wednesday, but then tracking another storm heading our way for Thanksgiving that will bring some heavier rain and possibly some wind concerns as well. I'm Vicki Graff, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Information central to your day from Radio Central, 830 WCRN.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second half of the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show and Radio Central, AM 830, WCRN. 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. I do want to get into Brooke Rollins, as agricultural secretary, what that entails in the budget. But let's go to the phones. Ken's been waiting patiently. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Good afternoon, Joe. I have
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
You doing the home thing, or you got to travel?
No, I'll be here. There'll be people coming here.
Okay, nice. What time and what should I bring?
We usually do like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, that's so you can snack again at 5 or 6 with sandwiches.
Yeah, and it kind of fits in with the football game.
Yep.
You get to watch it early, and then you kind of break towards halftime of the first game or thereabouts.
It all works
But
out.
anyway, I'm seeing a really distinct, different way that the two parties are working. Now, let's use Matt Gaetz as a template of the MAGA way.
Yeah.
Because simply, 5 days ago, or just a little bit more than 4 days ago, he was the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, he's out. And, got a replacement 6 hours later. And literally even Friday night, I'm listening to Matt Gaetz talk to Charlie Kirk, and everything's fine and dandy, good with the new pick, and it's like nothing happened. And I guess this weekend he's got something going with some cameo firm or something.
I don't
So
know
here's my
that.
point.
Yeah. What,
Yeah.
a cameo firm?
I think it's some sort of online business of some sort.
Okay. When he got appointed, we can go back to the tapes, folks. I wasn't thrilled with that, and I wasn't thrilled with that because the guy just rubs me the wrong way, and I know he had these accusations sitting back there, and I don't understand why you put somebody up like that. I also don't understand men or women who can't control themselves at work. I understand power goes to their head and all that, but if you think you're ever going to have a future, why can't you behave yourself? And even in all the stuff that comes with it, but you knew that just that appearance was going to torpedo this thing. So then I started to think, Ken, was Matt's kind of a test balloon, sacrificial lamb here? Knowing he wasn't going to go, they needed somebody for the left to go after, and he can still show up in another position that doesn't require Senate confirmation. For example, a special prosecutor, kind of doing the same thing but targeted. But anyway, finish your thought on this. So I didn't hear this. He said he's getting involved with some online thing.
Yeah. Well, but here's the whole point: is you make good points. He wasn't obviously a perfect pick. He has a lot of baggage that comes with it. But when you're if you approach things as, okay, we'll handle it as it comes, but we want people with ideas that are going to be effective in implementing those ideas, as opposed to the Democratic way, which is, this is what you have to say. Here are your talking points. If you dare to get out of line, your career's finished because Pelosi or Schumer's going to take you out.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it not surprising that in today's fast world, the Democrats are going to keep hitting obstacles, and they're not going to relate to reality and to the people. Whereas the new Republican Party, which is MAGA, is looking for competence and isn't going to wait to make sure that they're loyal to whoever happens to be under the banner.
Right.
And what is going to work in the future is, particularly if the institutions are so against you, whether it be old media and the like, well, those institutions then start falling apart because people are looking for solutions. And the new media is busy coming up with them. And I can't see how Democrats, and you see some, you've seen Seth Moulton, for instance, trying to take a different tack and here and there. But then there are the mayor of Denver and all the others who think that the way to the top is go even more extreme and more bold.
Yeah.
Which
Because some
is
of them,
losing.
I mean, they're doubling down, Ken, because they don't want to admit or they can't bring themselves to admit. But look at Seth Moulton, right? The Massachusetts congressman. I mean, he started to make reference to his daughters in, locker rooms and bathroom. I mean, they just turn, or even on their own at a dime. But what the common thread is whether it's a Democrat who falls outside of the sanctioned talking points or the Republican or conservative that they go after, and they use the same names, right? Homophobic, transphobic, all this stuff. Well, they're saying you have to accept this that I believe that is absolutely isn't backed up by science at all. XXXY, period. So you look at this, and at the same time, we're watching DEI being eviscerated. It's being removed from corporations all over the place, right? They're reallocating the budgets. They're getting rid of the department altogether. It's just, I liken it to, parents came home and the kids have to squash the party and start showing some responsibility. And Moulton got attacked for saying he didn't want his daughters to be subjected to a biological male. But we're told we have to accept somebody who says they're female as if, eons of verbiage is changed by them. But I don't remember getting a questionnaire or a vote into changing the meaning of words. Did you?
Well, the reaction a week ago was amazing, too, in that he had a staff person quit. Did you catch what happened in the town of Salem?
No, what happened?
The board of directors sent a letter to the parents excoriating Seth Moulton for his words. It's like, what in the world is the board of directors doing in the middle of this?
Yeah, exactly. And who cares what they think?
Exactly.
That's the other issue, right? Look at all the celebrities, Ken. All these celebrities thought that they mattered, and they thought people wanted to know what they think. And as obviously we don't, because they had absolutely no effect. And I actually argued that they had an effect on the election, and it was to put them towards Trump. People hated to hear from them. And all I'm thinking is I'm looking at these people. Most of them already has-beens, washed up their career, hasn't done anything. But the point is, why are you pissing off the half your fan base, alienating them from whatever you do, whether you're Barbara Streisand who sings or you're Clooney who acts or kind of acts, whatever it is? Why are you doing that? Because you're not famous, because you're a respected statesman. So just sing, dance, or whatever it is that we like to watch you do, and we pay you handsomely to do it, and we'll leave our own politics to ourselves. Thank you. Ken? Oh, no. Ted, you wanted something? No, your mic's not on. Your mic's not on.
Compensation makes the motivation.
Oh, yeah. They were right. We found this all out. They were all paid. Look at her, right? $11 million to Beyonce, $2.5 million to Oprah, and a whole nother list of stuff. You think any of these people who came out for Trump, especially the Democrats or either the Democrat politicians, but more importantly, the Democrat actors and billionaires who came to be Trump supporters, they weren't paid. As a matter of fact, it's probably cost them some money for being a Trump supporter.
But effectively, the free thinkers don't have to be paid, where those who have been in their bubble and gone a far different path than the average person, that results in their party in collapse because the average person can't relate to them anymore. Have you caught the Fall River news?
What happened in Fall River?
They voted for Trump. They're the first Republican since the 19th century that has won the presidential vote in the town of Fall River. That includes Reagan and Nixon, who truly were a landslide.
So what does that say? Because what is the majority demographic there, right? A lot of
The
immigrants.
working class.
A lot of immigrants.
Yeah.
Totally working class, blue collar. These are the people, folks, that they were doing pretty good in 2016 to 20 under the first Trump administration, where blue collar, middle class wages, real wages actually went up. People had about a $5,800 increase in their income, and the inflation was at 1.4%, far advancing their wages. So we felt it back then. We felt it in the supermarket. We felt it when we went out to buy anything or out to dinner. And then, even though wages were increasing under the Harris-Biden administration, because inflation went so high, you actually had a negative income. So now they're forced in this. We see this, Ken, with the unions, right? Unions came out. And I said it when it happened. This is when a no endorsement is an endorsement. When you get these unions that have for decades and traditionally endorsed the Democrat automatically, and they refuse to do it, that in itself was actually an endorsement for Trump. And we saw it with the LA Times, right? The billionaire owner there, he stopped it. Washington Post, Bezos stopped it. And then those people, good that they walked out. They weren't fired, right? But we had editors do that. Ken, we're against the clock. Any final thoughts?
No, buckle up, because there's a big opportunity that the MAGA crowd has if they deliver, and the working class likes what they deliver. This is going to have a massive impact. The flip side, if they really screw up, we're going to have a mess of a nation.
Absolutely, Ken. Thank you for the call. And that's a good point, folks, because if the next few years are really good, and he's just president-elect, but we've already seen things change for the better, right? The plant got canceled in Mexico. Putin's asking for a reset. I mean, the oil has gone down. So if everything is great, there's a good chance the Democrats, if they don't come around and self-examine and change, they're going to have a hard time with the national office again for a while. Hey, we got to take our third and final break here on the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Stick with us. We'll be back on the other side, back in 2 and 10.
Looking for guidance as you face a future on Social Security? It's hard to figure out on your own. But MedicareAdvisors.com is a completely independent insurance agency specializing in Medicare insurance planning. We work with the top insurance companies so we can offer our clients the best coverage for them. We design plans with a focus on low costs, which we combine with personalized insurance advice aimed at helping our clients make better informed decisions. Russ Swallow is a certified senior advisor and a licensed insurance advisor. He's been helping clients with their health insurance needs since 1970. And after a failed attempt at retirement, he created the Medicare Advisors in 2014. Russ concluded that since Medicare is health insurance, he might as well put his almost 50 years of health insurance experience to good use, as 75,000 people reach age 65 in Massachusetts every year, and they can use some help. Call Russ today at 508-831-0805. Put his years of personal experience to work for you as you try to unravel the complexities of Social Security.
Don't put mercury in the trash. Don't put mercury in the trash. Fluorescent lamps. Thermometers. Thermostats. These could all contain mercury, so let's dispose of them properly. Don't put mercury in the trash. Don't put mercury in the trash. Know your products with mercury, so you can dispose of them properly.
Mercury is harmful to human health and the environment. To learn what products in your home may contain mercury and where to safely dispose of them, please contact your local Board of Health or Department of Public Works or visit keepmercuryfromrising.org.
Know your products with mercury, so you can dispose of them properly.
Visit keepmercuryfromrising.org, because together we can keep our environment safe. Brought to you by Win Waste Innovations. Performance for the planet.
All right, folks, welcome back to the fourth and final segment on the Monday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. And don't forget that Monday, we got retirement resources, right, coming up at 2 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. It's always pretty good. All right, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Let's talk about some of the picks, the cabinets. Brooke Rollins nominated as Agriculture Secretary. There's a lot to these positions. Sometimes I don't think people realize how much money they control, how many employees are under them. But she's currently president and CEO of the America First Policy Institute. It's another policy, just like I belong to Frontiers of Freedom. That's a policy institute. And she's a conservative pro-Trump. It's a pro-Trump think tank that was created back in 21 alongside other members of the former president's cabinet while he was out of the office. So she's 52-year-old attorney. She was reportedly considered as a possible White House chief of staff for Trump, which, again, would have been historic with the first female. The president-elect had a private conversation, and he referred to her as a great option, saying that she's tall and she's got the look. That sounds like Trump, because Trump is into that, into having the right look, right, and performance. And if she is confirmed by the Senate, she would lead 100,000-person agency. And think about this. Offices in every county in the country. Every county has one of these offices. And this is covering things from farm and nutrition programs, forestry, home and farm lending, by the way, right? The farm loans. You get those rural construction loans. Those are all under that in HUD. Food safety, rural development, agricultural research, trade, a lot more. It's a $437.2 billion budget. That's the budget for 2024, folks. So let's talk about some of the picks. Chief of Staff, as we said, Susie Wiles, right? First female in the history to hold that title. She's big into Florida politics, right? Largely stays out of the spotlight. Even in the days after she was named and appointed and Trump was trying to call her up on stage, she does not like that. She likes to wield her power from the corner, apparently, not big on being in the spotlight, but she's a powerful woman. And of course, Mark Rubio, right? Senator from Florida, he's nominated for Secretary of State. Now, he does have good foreign policy experience because the committees that he has sat on, right? Senate Intelligence Committee, Senate Foreign Affairs Relations Committee, and he's a Cuban American. And he would be the first Latino person to be Secretary of State. You think that this bothers Democrats? You know that they wanted to have in the first female president, they wanted to be a Democrat. They finagled the bagel to get the first female vice president, special woman of color, but they did it without her getting a vote. So I still think that there should be an asterisk next to her in the history books, because even if she had to happen to miraculously win this election, she would still be the person, yes, that won the general election but got there without winning any votes. Ted?
Is she considered an illegitimate candidate?
Well, she would be in some circles. I think that might be the case. So you have Trump doing Trump thing, and it's got to be pissing some Democrats off that women are getting incredibly high-level, important jobs and powerful jobs. Latinos and Black people, men and women, are getting these jobs.
And gay men.
And gay men, openly gay men. And the Democrats, they want to be the first in all this because they put so much emphasis and attention and importance on the identity politics that they want to claim fame to that stuff. Meanwhile, Trump's just doing and filling these positions with the people he thinks are best for the job. Ted?
Truly passing the torch to a new generation.
That is true. And Trump likes filling it with the 40-something-year-olds because I think he feels or thinks, and I understand this. It's a sweet age. You got some time ahead of you, but you've got a little experience. And I know for a fact, I've seen him on multiple interviews talk about Supreme Court decisions or judges, period, because the president has to nominate circuit and affiliate judges, appellate rather. So he wants to get that mid-40s person, especially in the Supreme Court, because he knows if I put someone 44, I'm getting 30, maybe 40 years that this person will be on the bench. So he knows what he's doing there, and there is a chance. He's had 3 in his first term. He could end up with another judge or 2 in the second term. Depends how things go, right? But you got Rubio. And then, as we were talking about, Scott Bessent, right? Secretary of Treasury, 62-year-old Yale alum. He founded Key Square Capital Management in 2015. He supported Trump's economic policy of deregulation, increasing domestic energy production, and tax cuts. He's big on continuing the Trump tax cuts. He has talked, I've seen him talk way before this all opened about reducing the deficit. Any businessman with their salt is going to say, you got to get the spending out of control. You got to cut this stuff. Now, I don't think Vivek and Elon are going to cut $2 trillion. You got to remember, a good portion of our spending is can't be cut. It's mandated. It's Social Security, Medicare, it's military, right? But seriously, have you ever taken a moment to look at, and there's plenty of articles, you can go find them, about some of the stuff that we spend money on, studying mating habits or fruit flies or whatever. There's just bizarre stuff, and we're sending billions upon billions of dollars in foreign aid in building stupid things in other countries that make no sense when we have so many problems here. And quite honestly, the way that you help people in other countries is to keep a very strong America with a very strong business future. Because if we're doing well, and quite honestly, think about this. If times are good and we're doing well and we're making money, inflation's under control, and we have money to vacation and to buy items that we could normally afford, you can't think of that. I know, people get upset at people when they spend money, right? So if you buy, I bought an antique car once, posted it, and I couldn't believe the type of comments I got about that. And my response to that is, all of the people who had jobs to build these things, maintain these things, change the tires, tune it up, put in a new exhaust system, do the roof over, whatever it is, do you get that's how the economy works? So when we're doing well as a country, have you noticed we don't pay that much attention to where our money's spent? And if something happens, look how fast we, the American people, come to the aid financially. The GoFundMe movement of this GoFundMe page that hasn't been around forever, how many times do we read about a tragedy? And then all of a sudden, everybody pitches in a few bucks here and there, and it changes somebody's life. There's a veteran, 82 years old, pushing carriages in a Walmart. Somebody asks what his story is, and he's got to do that at 82 because he's about $1,600 a month behind what it cost him to live. And 2 weeks later, there's $270,000 in a fund for him, and he can stop pushing carriages at Walmart or whatever. I was in New York a week ago, and a story broke about a diner that's been there, 120 years in Brooklyn. And for the first time in the history of the diner, somebody broke in and stole $10,000 out of the safe. And that money was going to pay the sales tax and everything and in some wages. And within 24 hours, within that day, the $10,000 was on the GoFundMe page, and he ended up with tens of thousands of dollars the next day. They ran the damn story every 22 minutes while I was there, so that's why I know. And also, that was also the story about Whoopi's just ridiculous thing with the bakery. If you didn't hear that. Birthday, she goes to this 140 years. This bakery's been there. Everybody loves it. And their boiler system is like 70 years old. She puts an order in for, I don't know, 38 cakes, for everybody at the staff of the View and all that. And they said to her, okay, we're making these. We don't know if we can make another 38 because we're down a boiler and all this. So she goes live on the View and doesn't tell that story. She says they refused to serve her because of her politics. Absolutely fabricated. And I was in New York that weekend and saw it because we drove by the bakery, and the borough chief there for the politicians had a press conference. The whole borough backed this bakery. Into this, it's just not the case. By the way, they did end up pulling off the 38 cakes or whatever, and they were all there. But she went on national TV and blatantly lied about the circumstances. And the families that been in the family for generations saying, it never came. We don't give a crap about your politics. It has nothing to do with that. We told her that's a big order. One of our boilers are down. We don't know if we can get all that out. The most reasonable person would go, wow, okay. Well, can you do your best and whatever? Or they would have said, let me have a backup order somewhere, whatever. Right? That's what you do. That's what I do. No. She goes on national TV and tries to ruin this family business. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we're running out of time to get into the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Interior, Attorney General, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, on and on. But I'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the Tuesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. And, of course, then into the holiday, folks, and have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I'll be here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So you're listening to AM 830, WCRN Radio Center, from the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830 WCRN. Retirement Resources coming up next. And stick with me. I'll be back tomorrow. Joe out, folks.